Imagine our entire universe,
Mm.
right, engaged in this relentless tug of war.
Mm-hmm.
On one side, you've got this powerful, almost gravitational pull towards, well, chaos, everything unraveling.
Ultimate disorder, yeah.
But then on the other side, there's this intricate, beautiful dance of order trying to emerge.
Like stars forming or life itself.
Exactly. Stars, cells, even just your coffee getting cold, you know.
It's everywhere.
Have you ever paused to wonder about the fundamental rules governing this cosmic struggle?
It's a deep question.
Well, today we're taking a deep dive into the bedrock principles that dictate these processes. We're talking about the fundamental laws of thermodynamics and specifically the fascinating concept of Gibbs free energy.
Crucial stuff.
Yeah. Based on the material you provided, our mission is really to decode this rule book. We want to understand what truly drives reactions, why they matter everywhere, and what spontaneous truly means in science.
Not just the everyday meaning.
Right. It's supposed to be a profound shortcut to understanding the universe's energy budget.
It absolutely is. And this isn't just about, abstract formulas on a page.
Oh.
Understanding these laws offers you a master key, truly, to grasping how energy dictates every single change around us.
A master key. I like that.
And it's especially vital for comprehending the incredibly intricate dance of biological systems. That's where we'll really focus today.
Okay.
It's like the universe's own instruction manual for energy flow. Once you see it, you really can't unsee it.
That's a perfect way to frame it. So let's jump right into the thick of it. Let's start with maybe the most famous and some might say most depressing of these laws.
Yes, the second law.
The second law of thermodynamics. This is that profound statement that entropy, which we can think of as like disorder or energy dispersal, always increases in the universe.
Always. No exceptions on the universal scale.
It's why your tidy room gets messy, why coffee cools down. It really sounds like the universe itself is just perpetually leaning towards, well, a state of ultimate messiness, doesn't it?
It certainly does seem that way on the surface, and the implications are way bigger than just a messy room, of course.
Right.
This law is absolutely central to understanding why things tend toward disarray. But it raises a fascinating question, especially when we look at life.
Like us, highly ordered beings.
Exactly. Us, or the intricate structures cells build through what we call anabolic reactions, you might look at that and think, wait a second, isn't life actively decreasing entropy right here, locally?
Yeah. Doesn't that break the rule?
And this is where the nuance highlighted in our source material becomes so critical. These highly ordered processes, like, say, a protein folding just right, they do not break the second law. The key is remembering the universe part of the statement.
The bigger picture.
Think about your brain right now, maybe forming new connections as you process this. That's peak local order.
Okay.
But for every thought, every cellular function, every single connection made, a tiny amount of energy is, well, it's irrevocably lost.
As heat.
As heat, precisely. This seemingly tiny bit of heat ripples out, disperses into the environment, and that contributes to the universe's ever-growing total disorder.
So life isn't defying the law?
Not at all. It's performing this masterful act of local organization, but it's funded, you could say, by a global increase in chaos elsewhere.
Like a universal tax on complexity.
That's a great way to put it, a universal tax. It's this constant microscopic sacrifice of order for the sake of local complexity.
Wow. Okay, that really shifts the perspective. It's this constant dynamic battle, fighting local disorder by generating universal disorder just by existing.
Pretty much, yeah.
So if the second law sets this grand direction towards disorder, how do we actually put a number on that? How do we measure it precisely?
That's where the third law of thermodynamics comes in. It gives us an absolute baseline.
But the third law.
Exactly. The third law states something very specific. A perfectly crystalline solid at absolute zero.
0 Kelvin. The coldest possible temperature.
Right, where all atomic motion theoretically just stops.
Right.
Has an entropy of 0.
0 disorder. Perfect order.
Perfect order. Now that sounds super theoretical, maybe even niche.
A little bit, yeah.
But it's actually the bedrock. It's what allows us to precisely calculate entropy changes in any reaction under any real-world conditions.
So it anchors the whole scale.
Precisely. Our source defines entropy as a measure of how energy is distributed within a system.
How it's spread out.
Or maybe more intuitively, the number of ways energy can be arranged or dispersed. So that perfect crystal at absolute 0, its energy is minimally distributed, There's only one way to arrange things.
Oh.
This allows biochemists, for instance, to create really accurate energy budgets for what cells are doing, predicting how much energy a cell needs or will get from a certain task.
And temperature plays a big role here.
A huge role. This distribution of energy, how fast the particles are moving, as our source puts it, directly depends on the temperature of the system.
So temperature isn't just hot or cold. It actually what drives the amount of possible disorder.
It acts as a dynamic amplifier for how much energy can jiggle around, essentially. It scales the entropy term.
Which explains why life is so sensitive to temperature. Too cold, not enough jiggling for reactions.
Right. Things slow down too much.
Too hot and things jiggle too much, structures fall apart.
Exactly. Proteins denature, things get too chaotic. It really highlights that narrow band, that Goldilocks zone of temperature where complex life can thrive.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, so we've got the universe tending towards disorder, second law, and a way to measure that disorder, entropy, anchored by a 0-point third law. But you mentioned energy loss, heat, randomness. What about the energy that actually does useful stuff, the energy our cells use to build, to move, to think?
Now we get to the star of the show.
Gibbs Free Energy, symbol G.
That's the one. Gibbs Free Energy, or G, is what we call the useful energy, the portion available to do work.
Okay.
Our source defines it clearly. The portion of the total energy that is available to do work, sometimes just called the free energy of the system.
And this G is critical. Why?
Because it gives us this incredibly elegant equation that just ties together everything we've been talking about. Enthalpy, entropy, temperature.
Okay, what's the relationship?
The relationship, straight from our source, is beautifully concise. The free energy, G, equals the enthalpy, H minus the product of temperature, T, and entropy, S.
GHTS.
G equals HTS, exactly. We've talked about S, the disorder. And H, enthalpy, is basically the total energy stored in the chemical bonds.
Right.
The crucial part here is how temperature, T, measured in Kelvin, remember, acts as that dynamic amplifier we mentioned. It multiplies the impact of entropy.
Okay, so let's quickly break down those terms again.
Sure. Enthalpy H, that's the total energy content. Think chemical bond energy, the raw potential.
Got it, raw potential.
Entropy, as we said, the randomness, the disorder, how energy is spread out.
The messiness factor.
Yeah, yes. And finally, temperature, T. It's not just a passive number, it fundamentally scales entropy's impact on G. Higher T means more molecular motion.
More ways for energy to be distributed.
Exactly, amplifying the entropy, making that TS part of the equation more significant.
That's really key, how T amplifies S. These concepts aren't separate, they're constantly interacting.
Absolutely.
And there's a detail from our source that loops right back to the second law, that universal tax idea.
What's that?
It says, when cells do work, some energy is always lost as heat.
Yes. The inescapable heat loss.
It's not just inefficiency, it's a thermodynamic must. Every bit of useful work we do pays that entropy tax to the universe.
Well put. It's the cost of doing business, biologically speaking.
Okay, so now, here's where it gets really, really practical for predicting what actually happens, right?
Yeah.
Inside us and all around us.
Yes, now we talk about the change in G.
Delta G, that triangle meaning change. So G.
Exactly. G is a quantitative measure of the net change in free energy between reactants and products.
So start versus finish.
Right. And this number, e.g., it's the ultimate decision maker. It's the key to predicting if a reaction is favorable, if it will occur without needing a constant push of external energy.
The decider. Okay, how does it decide?
It's all about the sign, positive or negative. Two crucial scenarios.
Okay, scenario.
First, if you calculate a G and it's negative, this means the products end up with less free energy than the reactants.
So energy is released, lost from the system.
Precisely. Energy is lost or released. These reactions are what we call favorable, and the key term here is spontaneous.
Spontaneous. Now, we need to be careful with that word, right? Our source clarifies.
Yes, very important. Spontaneous does not mean unpredictable or necessarily fast or instantaneous.
Like your diamond example, turning back to graphite, is spontaneous, negative Ag.
But thankfully, very, very slow.
Right, so spontaneous just means it can proceed without a constant input of energy. It's energetically downhill, might need a little nudge to start, activation energy, but then it goes.
Excellent distinction, and a classic biological example from the source for negative G is catabolism.
Breaking stuff down.
Exactly. Disassembling larger molecules into smaller ones, like your body breaking down glucose from lunch to release energy. That's a negative D process.
Okay, downhill, releases energy, spontaneous, negative Eg. Got it. Scenario 2.
Scenario 2, positive G. Here, the products end up with more free energy than the reactants.
So you have put energy in.
You absolutely do. Energy must be put into the reaction for it to happen. These are energetically uphill. They're considered unfavorable on their own.
And the biological example?
Again, from the source, anabolism, building things up.
Synthesis, like making proteins from amino acids.
Perfect example. Or storing energy by making fat molecules.
Wow.
These processes require energy input. They don't just happen. Think about a tiny seed.
Okay, dormant.
Right. Compact potential. For it to grow into a huge, complex plant that's a massive positive G process requires loads of energy.
Where does it get it?
It couples. It draws on the negative EG reactions of breaking down its stored starches or sugars. It's like a thermodynamic handshake.
Energy from a downhill reaction pushes an uphill one.
Exactly. It uses the energy released from one to fuel the other, turning disorder from one source into order somewhere else.
That makes so much sense biologically. That's why we need to eat, right? We need that constant energy input for the positive AG stuff.
Like building muscle, growing, repairing tissues, all anabolic, all need energy.
While other things, like breaking down waste or just generating body heat, happen more naturally because they're energetically favorable, negative DAG.
You've got it. It's all about whether that DAG is negative and positive, and how incredibly cleverly our cells manage that whole energy budget. Coupling reactions.
Amazing cellular accounting.
It really is. And just to hammer that link home, the source states it unequivocally. Spontaneous reactions have a negative change in free energy. Always.
These are the ones releasing energy.
Right. And often these negative DAG reactions are what we call exothermic. They release energy often as heat, like burning wood or that glucose breakdown in your cells.
And the positive DAG ones, the uphill ones.
They often need to absorb energy, sometimes heat, from their surroundings. We call those endothermic. Think of the chemical reaction in one of those instant cold packs. It gets cold because it's pulling heat in to drive the reaction.
Okay, exothermic releases heat, endothermic absorbs it.
Yeah.
Tied to negative and positive G.
Generally, yes. And a cell's entire existence is just this constant, incredibly intricate dance, balancing these reactions, coupling the exothermic to power the endothermic.
Negative G driving positive G.
To do everything. Grow, move, think. It's a microscopic masterclass in energy management.
So let's bring it all together. What does this all mean for you, the listener, whether you're looking at biology or just the world?
Well, understanding these concepts, entropy, enthalpy, and especially Gibbs Free Energy and its change, it gives you this incredibly powerful lens.
A way to view energy transformations everywhere.
Everywhere. From the tiniest molecular interactions inside one of your cells all the way up to the grand cosmic scale processes of stars and galaxies, these principles are always there, silently governing what happens.
They're not just abstract ideas in a textbook.
Not at all. They are the fundamental rules of the game for existence. They dictate what's possible, what happens spontaneously, and what needs that constant input of effort and energy.
It's like the universal language of energy and change.
Beautifully put. It shapes our entire reality constantly.
Okay, so here's a final thought to leave you with, something to chew on.
Let's hear it.
If even the most complex, most ordered things we know, like us, biological systems are constantly contributing to the universe's increasing entropy through that unavoidable heat loss.
That universal tax.
Right. What does that tell us about the sheer amount of continuous energy required just to maintain the order we see, to fight against that tide? And maybe more profoundly, what is the ultimate grand thermodynamic fate of everything? From us to the entire cosmos, as this relentless universal tendency towards disorder, towards maximum entropy, inevitably plays out over unimaginable timescales.
It really makes you think about the nature of order itself, doesn't it? This transient, beautiful struggle against the inevitable flow towards equilibrium.
Exactly. A struggle dictated by these fundamental laws we just explored.